Now I'll demonstrate how everything comes together using Interactor. So as you saw in the video, when the customer and the agent talk to each other, the agent didn't have to take any notes. Instead, IBM Watson took all the notes using its transcribe services. So the audio between customer and agent goes directly to IBM Watson, and using natural language classification and conversation services, it transcribes the conversation into text. So what Interactor has to do is now configure itself to work with IBM Watson and configure itself to work with all the services that IBM Watson provides. And if the customer wants to provide chat program services, it also is configured to work with pretty much any chat services. Now, the important thing is the difficulty of working with existing customer CRM system or databases. But using Interactor, that is also made easy by configuring, as I'll show in the next slide. And also, it needs to be able to work with the customer's telephone system of their choice, whether it's Twilio or RingCentral or any of their proprietary telephone system. And that needs to also be able to be shown to the agents so that the agent is always aware of the conversations that's taking place on his or her screen. And finally, whatever is being transcribed needs to be able to be stored in the database for it to be retrieved for later use, for the later use. So as you saw in the demo video, we have the integration with Watson. We have integration with the AI. AI was transcribing it, but not just transcribing it, it was actually giving the sentiments where it realized whether customer was angry, happy, their mood. AI was able to determine that. Also, it was able to work with the chatbot, and it was able to work with the customer system in doing so. Now I'll show how this all comes together in Interactor using configuration. So if you look at here, these are the 6 things that were made available here. So how are all of these configured in? So conventionally, each of these integration require a lot of development work, but Interactor uses these declarative languages to make this happen. So as you can see here, in order to work with Watson, this is all that's required. So we have set up the keys, the password, everything as properties. And with Watson services, we provide the conditions based on what Watson wants to hear and the tone analysis. So this part is all that's needed to work with Watson, and this is all that's needed to work with the tone analyzer. And same goes for the Watson integration with the services, just a few lines. Working with chatbot, this is configured to work with Cisco Spark, so they have a little bit more requirement for it, so it's a little bit longer, but not much longer than others. And working with customer database, this is an example of working with an OrientDB. And as you can see, you have the service for getting the information and getting the orders and putting it in. And of course, the telephone service. For the demo, we used Twilio. So Twilio also have some stringent requirements. So it's a little bit longer, but again, not much longer. And the logging based on the conditions can be just put in few lines as well. So what essentially happens in a usual integration or usual solution is we will go in there and help your engineers learn about this synthesis and actually build it with them so they can manage it. And all really they have to do is get onto interactor and and just configure them in. So as you can see here, just have to get the first command and put it in. And if you show, now that command is gone in. So instead of going one by one, I can go everything together. And if I show, there. Now I have configured in the configurations to now integrate with Watson. It's as simple as that. Of course, writing the configuration would take a bit of time, but applying it, as you can see, is just copy and paste, just like using any other declarative language software. And you can see you can just copy and paste this, and now it's working with all the services that's configured with Watson. So there it is. Just have to follow these configurations, and we are able to create the solution much faster than conventional method of programming.